Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com. California wildfires continue to burn. The latest on the damage is just ahead. And parts of Texas saw snowfall, but what's next for the state as the cold continues? Plus how one plane crash survivor is returning to a crash site, what he plans to do just 2 years after the crash.
And that winter storm that we've been talking about that just moved through Texas. We've been talking about it the past few days. It's finally pushing eastward towards the eastern coast, leaving us with sunny skies for the weekend and some lovely weather for us in the Crossroads. We'll talk about all that coming up.
And who will be our first athlete of the week here in 2025? I'll tell you more coming up in sport.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and thank you for joining us on this chilly, wet morning.
Yeah, another chilly Friday morning. It's finally Friday. We made it to the end of another week, but yeah, you're right. It's still chilly out there. A little bit less on the wet side because the rain is finally ending, but we did get a good amount of rain yesterday. Did you see all that?
I bet everything's still trying to dry off.
Oh yeah, I bet you all of y'all are also probably trying.
Rain.
Yeah, I bet y'all are probably trying to dry off as well, us as well, because it rained the entire day yesterday, if you remember that. But if you're tuning in with us right now, like I said, we're going to look at that radar here in just a second because there are still a couple sprinkles left over. But in Victoria, that is not the case, even though the computer thinks so. It thinks it's pouring rain outside. You can see that here on the camera. That is obviously not the case, but it is definitely chilly out there still, sitting at 42 here in Victoria. And the wind chill, that's near freezing at 34 degrees with winds reported right now sustained between 15 to 20 miles an hour, but the winds have been reported gusting up to 25 to 30 miles an hour at times. So that is definitely some wind blowing that cold air around, bringing us all wind chills near freezing this morning. Got mid-30s wind chills along the coast because you're next to that water. So definitely bundle up if you're out there in the Crossroads this morning, but also bundle up if you're tuning in from anywhere around the state because we got 30s all across the state right now. Actually below freezing up in parts of Dallas, which is keeping the snow and the ice at bay down up there. But down here in the Crossroads, we're all in the low 40s and upper 30s for actual temperatures. But as promised, like I said, you can see still just a couple sprinkles. I don't think you need the umbrella because anything that's out there right now is going to push eastward throughout the rest of the day, actually the next couple hours, and we're left with mostly cloudy skies, which will keep us in the cool 40s. So if you're sending your kiddos out the door, pack them that jacket. We'll look at the details of that more coming up next.
First, we turn to the wildfires spreading in Southern California. At least 10 deaths are now blamed on the fire disaster in LA. And overnight, no relief for firefighters on the front lines as another fire, the Kenneth Fire, erupted northwest of LA.
Firefighters raced to contain wildfires around Los Angeles for a third night. The Kenneth Fire erupting in the San Fernando Valley, forcing evacuations in the West Hills neighborhood.
We are expecting this fire to rapidly spread due to high winds.
Flames spread to nearly 1,000 acres in a matter of hours. Another fire popping up in the San Fernando Valley overnight. All of the major wildfires are in a roughly 25-mile band north of downtown Los Angeles. The Palisades and Eaton fires, the largest, more than 9,000 homes, businesses, and other buildings damaged or destroyed, making them the first and second most destructive fires in Southern California history. The Palisades fire still raging overnight after scorching nearly 20,000 acres, an area the size of Manhattan.
Mars would be more habitable than this place right now, so it's crazy. There's absolutely nothing.
Video from above shows utter devastation. Dozens of blocks flattened to smoldering rubble. Only the outlines of the homes and their chimneys remain. Blackened palm strands are the only thing left along this stretch in Malibu where oceanfront mansions once stood.
It's apocalyptic. It's like someone's dropped a bomb. There's cars burnt out. There's ash everywhere. We were thinking it was going to be bad, but I think we both had no idea how bad it was.
About 180,000 people have been ordered to evacuate across Southern California. Another 200,000 faced evacuation warnings. The flames fueled by dry conditions and a rare wind event with gusts nearing 100 miles per hour at times. The wind warnings are expected to remain in place for Los Angeles County and much of Ventura County through today.
We're watching that high-pressure system sink in, a new one. That Four Corners high going to send offshore Santa Ana winds. The gusts in some of the mountaintops could even go to 70.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
If you would like to help those affected by the fires in California, the Red Cross is accepting donations as they help those impacted by the wildfires. If you'd like to donate, scan the QR code on your screen or visit redcross.org/ABC. Israel's army confirmed this morning that one of the bodies recovered from Gaza earlier this week was that of 23-year-old hostage Hamza al-Zayadini. His body was retrieved with that of his father, Yosef al-Zayadini, who were taken together when Hamas-led militants stormed into southern Israel 15 months ago. In recent weeks, Israel and Hamas have inched closer to an agreement for a ceasefire and the release of hostages. Gaza's health ministry said Thursday that 46,006 Palestinians have been killed and 109,378 wounded in the Israel-Hamas war with no end in sight. A major snowstorm has finally wrapped up after making its way through parts of Texas. The National Weather Service says road conditions will be treacherous through this morning in parts of north and central Texas. In these areas, ice and snow are expected to melt away this afternoon before refreezing tonight, creating more hazardous road conditions. On Thursday, traffic was slow moving as crews worked to keep the major roadways clear. Winter storm warnings have recently been canceled for several North Texas counties, including Collin, Dallas, Denton, Kaufman, and Tarrant, but a winter weather advisory is still in effect for these counties until noon today, and more winter warnings are expected for these areas tonight, while forecasters expect black ice to form late this evening. And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We want to know, how have you been staying warm? Okay, 3% of you say heated blanket, 75% of you say you turned on the heat, 3% of you say you're staying by the fireplace, and 19% of you say with lots of layers. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. As of Thursday, at least 1,800 flights were canceled in and out of Dallas airports. Crews have been de-icing planes and runways since the freezing weather hit. Now sleet and snow changes plans for thousands of passengers. Some flights face day-long delays as passengers try to fly. Just today, over 500 flights out of Dallas have already been canceled. Though we've escaped freezing temperatures here, 3 warming centers remain open in Victoria. The centers will be open until Saturday and service a hot breakfast in the morning. They're going to be at Our Lady of Sorrows Trinity Hall on West River Street and First United Methodist Church on North Bridge Street, and they're open to anyone. The Salvation Army of Victoria on North Lewis is expected to be open, but only to adult men. Transportation is provided at Christ Kitchen. It's been almost 2 years since a small plane crashed near Yoakum. 4 people on board the plane from Memphis were killed. The 4 people who died were members of the Congregation of Harvest Germantown. One passenger, their pastor, Dr. Keenan Vaughn, survived. Vaughn was transported to a Victoria hospital and eventually to a larger trauma center in San Antonio. He underwent numerous operations and procedures to save his life. 2 years later, Vaughn will return to the crash site with a message of hope and redemption. The Redemption Story Texas event will be on January 18th and 19th. Both evenings will include worship led by the Harvest Memphis worship team. Victoria College is making it easy to get ready for the spring semester with a Super Saturday Express enrollment event. It's this Saturday at the main campus in Victoria from 10 to 2. You can apply for admissions, get financial aid help, enroll in classes, make payments, and talk to an advisor about your goals. Visit victoriacollege.edu or call the college for more information. Remember, follow us on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. The time is now 6:37 on our Friday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. We take a look at the benefits of hospice care.
The Supreme Court denies President-elect Trump's last-ditch effort to avoid sentencing. I'm Nicole D'Antonio in Washington with details on what we can expect at today's hearing.
And also coming up next after the break in the full forecast, that winter storm may be pushing eastward towards the eastern coast, but we're going to have another chilly day all across our state, and we're going to have another cold night. We're going to be dropping below freezing. We'll talk about all that coming up next. Well, good morning, Crossroads. You're looking live and chilly and cloudy. Cuero, you can see that the big old cloud deck that's still over us right now, and that's bringing us in the 30s still at 38 degrees in Cuero. And that wind chill is actually near freezing, 32 degrees at freezing, actually, with your wind still between 10 to 15 miles an hour sustained, and humidity is at 85% thanks to all the rain that just dropped on us yesterday. And if you're wondering if it's still raining, the answer is no. We do have a couple sprinkles left over. Anything you see right here, that's all really light rain or sprinkles falling in our southern, like most of our coastal counties this morning. But all that rain that you see right there, if anything that you see this morning, It's all going to push eastward, and it's all going to die off as we go into the next half hour or the next hour, and we're left with mostly cloudy skies for the rest of the day before that starts dying down to sunny skies for your weekend, Saturday, tomorrow, and mostly sunny skies for Sunday. But under the clouds today, that's going to keep our highs at bay and the mid and upper 40s. I'm thinking about 48 for the high here in Victoria, 47 in Cuero and Port Lavaca as well. And then overnight tonight, with the northerly wind still slightly blowing through, slightly breezy, we're looking for another night of sub-freezing conditions in some of our counties, especially along 59 and northward. And actually, we have freeze warnings in effect from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for these counties you see in blue. These are issued from the Corpus Christi office, so I'd expect the San Antonio, Austin office to issue our northern counties as we go into the afternoon time today. And freeze watches are also in effect for our immediate coastal communities for tomorrow morning as well. So with all that in mind, we have one last alert day, one more before we warm up for the weekend for tonight and tomorrow morning. It's going to be for all those counties, like I said, Highway 59 counties and DeWitt, Lavaca, Gonzales, and Karnes counties for sub-freezing conditions, 28 to 32 degrees, 2 to 6 hours, which is why it's prompting a freeze warning. And after that is all said and done, we're warming up for some lovely weather this weekend. We're going to look at that next.
All right, everyone, so it's now time to see who will be our first athlete of the week here in 2025, because last year we had a lot of football players and volleyball players here in the Crossroads for our athlete of the week, but this year we're going to start off a little bit differently with the basketball player here from St. Joseph there in basketball star Bennett Ferguson. So here's more for our athlete of the week. Our first athlete of the week here in 2025 goes to St. Joseph Flyers men's basketball star Bennett Ferguson. He's led the Flyers in scoring this season so far and has been a senior leader here for this team here in the early going. Ferguson says he has a deep connection with Flyers head coach Andre Thomas, and they go way back.
You know, it feels good. I've known him forever, been playing AAU summer with him forever, so I like the team. It feels good playing.
Now, having this long connection with Coach Thomas back to his AAU days, Ferguson knows his coaching philosophy is pretty tough, and he's ready for his practices every week.
I like to stay conditioned, usually a pretty intense practice, just get ready for the games, because, I mean, we want to go super hard in practice so the games feel like nothing.
Now, grinding through these practices have helped make Ferguson more resilient and energetic on the basketball court, and head coach Andre Thomas notices for sure.
A young man that loves the game, that knows the game inside and out, it ain't much you have to say. I can give him a look and he knows exactly what I'm talking about and what to do. He's just an extraordinary young man. And
with Thomas being very proud of Ferguson here throughout his 4 years here being a Flyer, he just hopes that these two can make a last run here to the postseason, as they are currently 6-3 overall and just beginning district play. Wish the Flyers luck the rest of the way this season, and congrats again to Bennett Ferguson for being this week's Athlete of the Week. Congrats again there to Bennett Ferguson for being this week's Athlete of the Week, and wish the Flyers luck there the rest of the season. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
Ahead of taking the oath of office in just over a week, President-elect Trump will be sentenced this morning in his New York hush money case after the Supreme Court rejected his last-ditch effort to delay it.
Today, President-elect Trump is expected to be sentenced by a New York judge for falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. A divided U.S. Supreme Court denied Trump's last-minute effort to set aside the May ruling, arguing the burden that sentencing will impose on the president-elect's responsibilities is relatively insubstantial. Trump's lawyers had unsuccessfully sought a delay, arguing Trump is deeply involved in the transition back to the White House, and that going ahead with sentencing would cause harm to the institution of the presidency. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, just hours before the High Court ruled, insisted that the sentencing should go forward.
We believe that the sanctity of the jury verdict must be given primacy. The jury's voice must not be rubbed out.
Moments after the Supreme Court's order, Trump reacting to the news.
I read it and I thought it was a fair decision, actually.
But vowing to appeal the case. Trump had originally faced up to 4 years in prison, but being reelected in November changed that. The judge saying he will now impose what's called an unconditional discharge, which means no jail time, no fine, and no probation. It comes as a federal appeals court also ruled Thursday in another Trump case. A federal appeals court ruled that the Justice Department can release a report on President Trump's efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss. Part of Special Counsel Jack Smith's report could be released within days. Smith has been winding down his cases against the president-elect because of a long-standing Department of Justice policy prohibiting prosecution of a sitting president. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Hospice centers serve as caring places for patients with a terminal illness and their loved ones, though some people hold differing viewpoints. The care is getting attention with the death of Jimmy Carter, who was in hospice care for 2 years. A local hospice worker who shares his perspective, highlighting the focus on personalized care, genuine compassion, and building a supportive environment to help patients and families navigate this deeply personal journey.
What we want to do is we want to be able to be a support system for that family and for that patient. And so by providing a high level of care and quality of care, it provides education for the family on what to expect as to what's coming. But not only that, it gives a sense of comfort knowing that there is someone available at all times to be able to be there for them and their family member as well.
Garcia explains that hospice has nurses and CNAs who visit patients at home at least twice a week, making sure the process is as comfortable as possible. The time is now 6:46 on our Friday morning. Still to come on Sunrise, we take a look at the hottest year on record.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. I think it's safe to say it was a bit of a rainy day yesterday, wasn't it? We had rain pretty much the entire day yesterday. It was actually right before noon times when the rain started, which is right when I thought it would, and it rained pretty much the entire day. Actually, all the way until about 3 a.m. is right around when it stopped here in Victoria, a little bit before that. But you're probably wondering, with all the rain that we had for about 95% of the day yesterday, we saw rain. You're probably wondering, how much rain did we get? Well, here are the ranges. Here are the rainfall totals over the last 24 hours. We're looking for a pretty healthy range between 1 inch to 2 inches for all of our Crossroads counties. All of us out there saw between that range, except for like some folks in the southern counties may have seen between 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and folks around DeWitt County may have seen between 2 1/4 to 2.5 inches. So a good amount of rain yesterday. And if you're wondering about snow totals, get a load of this. North Dallas saw between 4 to 8, 4 to maybe even 9 inches in some areas. That is absolutely incredible for a winter storm to ever go through Texas and drop that much snow. So if you're tuning in somehow from North Texas, hope y'all are enjoying that snow up there. But I hope y'all enjoyed the rain yesterday, because that's the last day of the rain we're going to have for quite some time. You can see the system. This is the last 4 hours radar loop. You can see it's starting to move eastward towards the eastern coast. And as that system continues moving eastward, we're going to be left with some sunny skies all across Texas, actually, for tomorrow and on Sunday as well. And that's going to bring our highs back into the lovely 50s and 60s, and it's going to keep our lows in the 30s. But we're going to look at all of that more later on Sunrise.
A symbol of war transformed into a vessel of peace. A once deadly weapon now cradles flowers on the altar of a Victoria church, a powerful reminder of hope and renewal. Here's local veteran journalist Bill Clough with the story.
Unless you're a regular member of the congregation who attends the 8 a.m. service in the chapel of Trinity Lutheran Church in Victoria, you might not notice that the vases holding the altar flowers are made from World War I artillery shells. No one knows how many shells were fired during the war to end all wars. Estimates range from 900 million to 1.2 billion. During and after the war, soldiers and prisoners of war transformed some of the brass shells into keepsakes. Doughboys brought them home as what the French call souvenirs. One of those soldiers was Henry Nook Kuykendall.
My great-great-uncle served in World War I, where he was assigned to guard German prisoners of war. He befriended one of the prisoners who was a silversmith, and the prisoner crafted these vases for him out of the artillery shells, and he brought 2 of the vases home with him and donated them to the church.
I thought it was a little bit odd that artillery shell pieces were on the altar. Maybe it is not a bad reminder for us to know that that is our reality, but then as the people of God, we have a special calling to work for peace during any time.
There has never been a time when there wasn't a war somewhere in the world. Right now, the Red Cross counts 120, which makes the words of Isaiah, considered by some second only to Moses, particularly pertinent. They shall forge their swords into plowshares, and sometimes into vases.
That type of artwork is called trench art, although scholars say only a fraction was created by soldiers serving in those trenches. 2024 was the hottest year on record. Europe's climate monitoring agency Copernicus found last year was 1.6 degrees hotter than the year before. Humans began burning large amounts of fossil fuels. That makes 2024 the first calendar year to breach the 1.5 degree limit countries agreed to avoid under the Paris Climate Agreement. However, scientists are more concerned about breaches over decades rather than single years. But they say 2024's record means the Earth is getting dangerously close to a critical climate threshold. Alec Baldwin has filed a civil rights lawsuit in Santa Fe, New Mexico, claiming he was wrongfully prosecuted in the Rust case. Baldwin filed a complaint Thursday against the special prosecutor, district attorney, and others, accusing them of violating his rights, malicious abuse of process, and defamation. The actor was accused of holding the prop gun that fired and killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of Rust in 2021. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. The highest court in the land will decide the fate of this popular social media app. Breaking news this morning, Chinese hackers breached the U.S. government office that reviews foreign investments for national security risk. The theft, which has not been previously reported, underscores Beijing's keen interest in spying on a U.S. government office that has broad powers to block Chinese investment in the U.S. as tensions between the two world superpowers remain high. The highest court in the land will decide the fate of TikTok. The Supreme Court agreed to expedite the video sharing platform's First Amendment case. Arguments are set to start at 10 a.m. this morning, and they're expected to last more than 2 hours. At issue is a ban Congress passed in April. It requires TikTok to either shut down or find a new owner. The ban enjoyed bipartisan support on national security fears surrounding the app's Chinese ownership. Now, the court will consider whether those fears outweigh TikTok's First Amendment rights. Demonstrators gathered in Florida in support of Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado. The protest happened in Doral, home to a large U.S. Venezuelan community. Demonstrators expressed anger over Machado's reported brief kidnapping on Thursday in Caracas. She and her allies are trying to prevent Nicolas Maduro from being inaugurated today. That will start his third term in office following July's contested election. The Venezuelan government has denied detaining Machado. Today, Rudy Giuliani faces a contempt of court hearing for the second time in a week. This case in a D.C. district court is because Giuliani continued to make false insinuations about two Georgia election workers long after they won a $150 million defamation verdict against him, and he agreed to stop slandering them. On Monday, a federal judge held Giuliani in contempt for failing to turn over information to the workers, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, as they try to collect their damages. The jury summons for 8:30 a.m. Monday at the Victoria County Courthouse has been canceled and will not be rescheduled. A Texas teenager helped his border community win a $13 million grant to improve the environment. You can read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now let's get a final look at our forecast with Parker. Parker, it's going to stay chilly all weekend.
No, not for the weekend. It will stay chilly for today, that's for sure. But no, we're going to be back in the 50s and even the 60s by Sunday. But right now, before all of that happens, it's already a little bit chilly out there. You look alive in Port Lavaca, it's 43 degrees, but the wind chill, that's even chillier, 35 degrees. Inland counties are seeing wind chills at about freezing because winds are sustained between 15 to 20 out of the north right now, north-northwest to be exact. But temperatures across the state, as you can see, these are high temperatures. I'm showing you highs in the 30s and the 40s all across the state. Got a 50 for Laredo. That's the only 50 across the state. Everybody else going to be a bit chilly underneath the mostly cloudy skies that we're expecting for across the state. And also a little bit breezy down here in the Crossroads, especially breezy down on the coast. You can add 5 miles an hour to the gusts for the inland counties, but 47 for the high in Port Lavaca. A little bit warmer, I'm thinking, in Victoria, 48 for the high today. Under the mostly cloudy skies, also breezy as well, and Cuero as well, also breezy, mostly cloudy, but getting up to about 47 for today. Wind gusts this afternoon will be between 25 and 30 miles an hour, so be careful with that if you're driving, but also be careful because we have an alert day tonight for sub-freezing conditions in our northern counties and whole counties along Highway 59 before warming up this weekend.
That's excellent news for my outdoor cats. Thank you, Parker. And thank y'all for being with us. Join Shauna, Dawn, Maclovio, Max as well today for 25 News now at 5, 6, and 10. Make it a great Friday and a great weekend.